In our leading story, DA leader Mmusi Maimane's leadership style has come under the spotlight. Now this follows the Western Cape Premier Helen Zilla's post on social media that angered the nation. In her post, Zille defended colonialism, stating on her Twitter account that it was not all bad. Calls for Maimane to remove Zille as leader of the Western Cape have gained traction. Opposition parties have accused the Western Cape Premier of racism and call for her immediate sacking.
We're talking about somebody who has been a leader and is still a leader. So these are not personal views. These are views surely of the party. Whether it's about going to the beach, whether it's about praying for P.W. Botha to come back, whether it's about praising and glorifying colonialism. The main theme there is about appreciating the whole ideology of white supremacy, and therefore still look at black people as subjugated second-class citizens. This is, in the main, remains a racist, white supremacist right wing, but it uses a Bantustan system of co-opting certain black faces just as a front, political front, so that they can mask the real character of what this party is about. The EFF has made a strategic and a tactical blunder. Whatever regardless and anger and the differences they have with the liberation movement, particularly with the ANC, what we must not do, we must never hand power to the minority rule again. Because the oppressor will never change. Majority of black South Africans, they don't have a second citizenry. This is their country, this is their home. Their objective has always been, and it continues to be, building a non-racial, non-sexist, and democratic civil South Africa.
We actually have a caller on the line right now, Jonathan from Pietermaritzburg. A very good morning to you, Jonathan. Thank you so much for calling. What's your contribution and what's your comment on this matter? Good morning, Jonathan. I believe you're on the line. Do you have a comment on Helen Zilla's post on Twitter?
I have a comment. What I'm saying, it's very distressing always to hear blacks downing whites. Not colonialism in general from overseas colonialism, but downing whites. And that's what they're pointing their fingers at. What they must never, ever, ever forget is that whites built this country and the rest of Africa. The colonials built it. And there is nothing wrong with colonials. What about black suppression? Black murder? What about that? Black destruction, because that's all they can do is destroy. So let's get away from this black-white story and build the country and move forward as a nation.
Well, thank you very much for your comment. That was Jonathan from Pietermaritzburg, almost agreeing with Helen Zilla there that there were some good things that came out of colonialism and just urging South Africans to move away from the black-white margins and build a country that is united.
We have to state it clearly that while in recent years there's been some self-acknowledgement that ignorance of black history and black people is no excuse to make loose and reckless statements, realizing black history and its monumental contribution has been a hard pill to swallow for Helen Zilla. And we feel that really over the years, this inability to reconcile black history and the role of black people in history, it has driven her to a mental breakdown. And I think that this mental breakdown has been coming slowly without the violence that might help her reawaken to the real story. So this inability to reconcile the real history, because she lived in this particular white enclave, it really has been pushing her. She's been defending every racist statement that has captured the country over the years, over the past year. She has defended it. She defended the people, black people who were categorized according to race in a restaurant in Bangalore in Cape Town. She defended her own councillors from Ward 54 who were making racist statements against poor people, against black people. So she's got this inability to reconcile the present moment, the role of black people in history, the role of white people in history, so that they can have a more comprehensive view of where the country is. And we feel really that she's really had a mild mental breakdown as a result.
We have Gugula joining us from Limpopo. Very good morning to you, Gugula. Thank you so much for calling in. What's your comment on this matter?
Hello.
Good morning, Gugula. Please tell us what you think of the post by Helen Zilla.
Good morning. We understand that she touched the previous regime, but there's nothing wrong that she has done. She didn't do anything wrong. And on top of that, she apologizes. You see, if a person can apologize, even if he has uttered wrong statements, I think we as a community shall have to forgive, forgive and let life goes on. I think Mr. Maimani can take an action, but the action will just be to reprimand her, not to utter such utterances on the media.
Well, thank you so much for your comment there. That was Gugula from Limpopo giving his comments on the sentiment. We are also joined by Moses from Johannesburg. A very good morning to you, Moses. Thank you so much for calling in. What's your comment?
Good morning. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
Good. I think this now we're becoming to concentrate more on what whites are saying about blacks in South Africa. I think as she already posted an apology, I think we have to accept it and move on. Unless if there is a political motivation on this, then we'll decide to carry on and want her to be dismissed or anything that can affect her position as a political leader. This has nothing to do with the things that happen in South Africa. It's just that we are becoming now too politically, and we want to fight our battles using the community.
Well, thank you.
I think we need to move on and leave it.
Thank you so much for your comment, Moses. We're also joined by Rogers, also from Johannesburg. A very good morning to you, Rogers. Thank you so much for calling in. What's your comment or contribution?
Yeah, good morning. This is Prophet Rogers from Johannesburg. What Helen Zilla said, there is nothing good about oppression, because colonialism is a kind of abuse of human rights, and even God himself does not condone abuse in any form. So Helen Zille, I see her, no matter her color, the color does not mean anything, but the words coming from her mouth, being a leader, meaning she is just camouflaging liking this country. Helen Zille doesn't like anything about this country. Do you understand? That is my comment.
Thank you so much, Prophet Rogers, there for your comment. We also have Mona on the line from Johannesburg. Mona, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for calling in.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, Mona, we're listening.
Okay, right. Good morning. I'm a 75-year-old pensioner, and I vote for the DA, and I'm quite disgusted at Helen Zilla's behavior. And I think the time has now come that we all have to stand together, and the white people, most of them, stop being racist. I just get tired of watching this, and I think that Zilla should be put out. Even if I'm voting for the DA, I have a lot of respect for them, and I just think that she should be put out. It's disgusting. Sorry to say this. I do vote DA, but I'm ashamed to say now that I'm a DA, because Helen Zilla should be dealt with. It's disgusting. The white people must stop being racist towards black people too. That's all it is, and we should go forward and love each other, not say all these bad things. It's disgusting. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Mona. That was Mona, who's a 75-year-old DA member who is herself disgusted. We're joined right now by Jabu from Mpumalanga. Very good morning to you, Jabu. Thank you so much for calling in. What is your comment?
My comment is that, to me, it shows that Helen Zilla is not a Democrat, actually. They show that the lack of democratic rules. That is why you can talk about black people otherwise. I don't know how is Malema thinking now, because the one who put Helen Zilla into power, how then the other areas. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you so much, Jabu. That was Jabu from Mpumalanga. They're just giving his comments on the Twitter post by Western Cape Premier Helen Zilla. Now let's take a look at what Maimani's claims are. The DA leader claims that the Democratic Alliance is the best party to rule South Africa. The test of the party's ability to rule lies in Maimani's ability to take stern actions against Zille. Let's take a look at earlier incidents related to Helen Zilla. My colleague Stefanie Jansen van Vuren goes into the past.
This is not the first time that Helen Zilla has tweeted some controversial statements on Twitter that has led to an uproar on social media. Taking a look at some earlier incidences, she termed the education migrants from the Eastern Cape studying in the Western Cape as refugees. Taking a look at another incident, she defended racial profiling by the Cape Town restaurant. The restaurant referred to the customers as two blacks. We all know this incident. It happened a bit late in the last year. Majority of the murders and assaults in the Western Cape are not perpetrated by white people on black people. And taking a look at the last incident that we have of her tweeting, Zille suggested that the farm strikes in the Western Cape were a result of BEE farm entrance. Well, that is some of the controversial tweets that Helen Zilla has tweeted in the past.
We're joined now by Daniel from Witbank. A very good morning to you, Daniel. Thank you so much for calling in. Just give us your comments on this matter.
Morning, and thank you for taking my call. I think it's good what Helen Zilla did. She reminds us black people that the legacy of the colonial system and apartheid regime still exists. That is why they are fighting against affirmative action, BEE, and all the things that the black government is trying to put in place to make the playing field level. For all those who are voting for DA, they must realize what DA stands for. And those who are supporting DA, like the EFF, they must now start seeing DA for what it is, not just Helen Zilla. All those who are supporting Helen Zilla or DA are saying the same thing where they are. Doesn't matter if she said it on Twitter, the fact remains that if they say the legacy of apartheid is good, that is why they are fighting affirmative action and all the other good systems that we want to put in place as black government. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was Daniel from Witbank. We now have Lesego calling us from Bloemfontein. A very good morning to Lesego. Welcome to Vuka Africa. What's your comment?
Good morning. At the end of the day, it's Helen Zille. Why are we even surprised? We know this is how she operates. And what I can say is that apologizing is not going to change anything. It's more like you kill a person and then you apologize and you get away with murder. No, she needs to be punished for what she has said. Because now, if we can understand the colonialism already, it's actually, you are being colonized as a matter of fact. You don't have a say, you are not independent in the first place. Now, Helen Zille, that system was actually benefiting her. So even now, those who are in power, after 50 years, they would say ANC was not bad, or any other government that is conducting the country was not bad, because it was benefiting them. So she's wrong. She must be punished.
Thank you very much for your comments there. We now have Mr. Mokwana joining us from Pretoria. A very good morning to you, Mr. Mokwana. Thank you so much for calling in. What is your comment?
Good morning to you too. My take on the matter, I don't mean to offend anyone, but I just want to state it like this. Some people will keep on reminding you how impossible it is to change. But anyway, that's not a point for now. Back to the issue of Maimane having to take steps against his former leader, Helen Zille. He is obliged to do his job. His job is to be the leader of the party. And then DA has nothing to lose if Maimane can decide to chop off Helen Zille, but instead they have everything to gain. They have people's trust to gain, that they are competitive and they are doing the democratic way of things. That's my take on the matter. I would like to thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for calling in as well, Mr. Mokwana. That was Mr. Mokwana calling us in from Pretoria. They're just giving his comments to the DA Premier of the Western Cape, Helen Zilla's comments on Twitter. We have James calling us in from Limpopo. Very good morning to you, James. Thank you so much for calling. What's your comment?
Yes, madam. I think when you talk of colonialism and apartheid, we have to take it into consideration that colonialism happened in the whole continent of Africa. So, but when coming to South Africa, we have to realize that it was colonized by different types of group. So we have to look the infrastructure, we have to look the towns, how they are built. Then we have to look to other countries of Africa as well. Then we have to compare. Then, but when it comes to our country, we realize that no, the people who colonized this country, they worked very hard to build this infrastructure. This is the reason why today we do have foreigners from other countries which were colonized. But when they come here, they come for, let's say they come for privileges. But the benefits behind to let them come here is about the infrastructure. And we have to bear in mind that we have truth and reconciliation in this country, where the perpetrators or those who were bad for apartheid, they were punished. So, but today, because we are in democracy, we don't have to be shy to talk about the goodness of apartheid and the bad of apartheid. We have to mix. If we talk about the bad, we have to talk the bad. If we talk about the benefit, the good of it, then we have to talk about the good of it. For example, we look the roads. We look how the cities are built. Then we look on business, how the business was, the infrastructure of business. But today, it is everyone who benefit out of that. It's not a certain group.
Well, thank you so much for your comments there. That was James from Limpopo saying, look at both the good and the bad that took place from this now that South Africa is liberated. We also have Sizwe joining us on the phone line from KwaZulu-Natal. A very good morning to you, Sizwe. Thank you so much for calling. What's your comment?
Oh, thank you very much, madam. My comment is very simple. Colonialism never benefited us. It only suppresses us. And Helen Zilla's comment also illustrates that the colonization of our mind, as I've listened to other callers, they actually justify colonialism that we benefited out of it. What about the colonization of the mind? Helen Zilla has never changed. She's a racist, and most DAs, especially in the bureaucracy of the DA, the commanding structure that actually tells my man what to do and what not to do. Zille is going nowhere. Watch it. The situation is going to continue and is going to apologize, and she'll going to continue being the leader of the DA in the other way around. When Mazibuko tried to rise up against Helen Zilla because they brought many black people into the party, that's why the DA won, and she demanded her position. She was fired by the same Helen Zilla. So my man will never dare raise a finger because one or the other is going to go out. That's what is happening in the DA. I'm the member of the ANC. I support the ANC. The only problem in the ANC, they don't tell people what they've done. The DA is only riding behind what the ANC is doing, and then they claim to be theirs. Freedom of propaganda like they're doing now with the 1st of April of the SASA grant, spreading all those SMSs to the people in Limpopo and so forth. DA will never ever get involved and run that department. But they are claiming that it's theirs that are doing that. So the DA is not a good party, actually. They're using black people, and it's late for them to see, especially the young ones.
Thank you so much for that contribution. That was Susan from KZN. We have Sifiso calling us from Valcom. Good morning to you, Sifiso. Thank you so much for calling us. So what's your comment on the matter?
Good morning. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
My comment is that for Helen Zilla to say that colonialism, we should be thankful for colonialism because of the infrastructures that we have, like piped water and all that other stuff, judiciary and stuff. It's an insult on black people because that's to suggest that if the white people didn't come to this country, then we as black people wouldn't have been able to do these things ourselves, you see. So I think it's an insult on black people's intelligence, and I think that there should be serious consequences for Helen Zilla for what she said. And, if she goes back into history, she'll realize that black people have been responsible for huge architectural feats. For instance, the pyramids in Egypt were built by black people. And even till today, with modern technology, no other people can replicate the type of architecture. You see, so black people have the capacity to do these things, but because we were colonized and subjugated, we never had the chance to get around to doing these things ourselves. So for Helen Zilla to say what she said, it's really an insult, and she should be dealt with seriously.
Thank you so much for that contribution. That was Sophie. So we now have a Sizwe from Ladysmith. Another Sizwe, very good morning to you. Can you just give us your comment, please?
Yes. So I think the comments were not good at all. I mean, the South African democracy, it's still at its infancy currently. I mean, we're still recovering. We're still getting through the wounds of the past colonialism. And for a leader how can a leader who is for democracy and for equality say something like this? I mean, considering all of her tweets as well. I mean, I don't consider her as someone who is for democracy and equality. Even if they say that the South African economy was built up at that time, it was built on the basis of colonialism. So, and nothing is right about that. Whatever you build, it's upon, but it was built on colonialism. And you hear people saying, blacks must get over the apartheid, blacks must get over the past and must just move on. How can we move on if leaders, at the caliber of Zille keep on bringing it up like this and saying it was not all that bad? So, it hinders our progress as a country to have leaders like this, in my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling. We also have Petros calling us from Tembisa. Good morning, Petros. Thank you so much for calling. What's your comment?
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
It's Kiora Betse. I'm very excellent. Thank you.
Fine. Cindy, you're speaking to Petros Zita from Ivory Park. I'm a former councillor in the city of Johannesburg. Cindy, last year we went to Cape Town and we visited the city of Cape Town, Metro Council, where Helen Zilla is a premier. And really, when we went in there, we've seen what Helen Zilla was commenting about, whereby a black person, you will never find a black person doing even a mere cleaning job or a tea. You will find white, all people, black people, you will find them outside at the gate. So what Helen Zilla had said to me, it comes as no surprise. I'm a victim of that system. And it pains me a lot when you hear a person who calls herself a leader, whereby we are trying to build this country, and she will then set all this controversy. Remember, it is not the first time. Last time he said people who came to Cape Town for education is immigrant. And now, what surprises you when Helen Zilla, and what surprises me now, when you look at your screen, Cindy, you find these black people surrounding her and kissing her.
Mr. Petros, I just have to cut in there. We're actually out of time, but thank you so much for calling us and for your contribution. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We have a Sipa from Cape Town. Sipa, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for calling. Just in about 30 seconds, just can you give us your comment?
Yes, good morning, Cindy.
It's Kiora Petsis.
Thank you. Yes, I just have a comment, and I just wanted to make it quick because I see you're running out of time. Cindy, as a victim of this system, especially here in Cape Town, I mean, I'm so much sad. I mean, it's so painful because I know what we are going through here in Cape Town. We can see, we still feel that we are still in the colonial system. We don't see any difference here in Cape Town. And once we know Helen Zilla to be there, hanging around with black people, hugging them, she's just camouflaging. If my man is sitting there, he's just there as a smokescreen to attract black people. I mean, and these things, we see these things, we're ignoring it because we want to see changes. But at the end of the day, Helen Zilla, as a leader, came out with comments like this. I mean, it's hurt. I mean, we really want to see what my money will say around these things. We want to see the action. He must come out and show us that he's not sitting there as just to sit and attract black people for G8. That's all I want to comment.
Thank you so much, Sipho. We now have Makatlela from the Free State. A very good morning to Makatlela. Thank you so much for calling. In about 30 seconds, can you just give us your comment?
No, thank you very much. You know, it is indeed what Helen Zille is saying. Colonialism was not bad for her because she benefited a lot on it. But unfortunately, it is so painful that they every time have a chance inflict pain and remind us of those yesteryears. What I'm going to tell you is that the ANC has come in to ensure that we have stability in the country. But because they don't like that, they want to ensure that we come out as if we are bad. It would indeed come out like this. So all this otherwise, even if they are trying, but they're trying to ensure that there's peace and stability in the country, people like Helen, they don't want that because they have benefited and now it's the plot. They will come back and say, I apologize. And if you watch it on TV, she is within the blacks here and there. There's nowhere they've taken a photo of her with whites. Why? Why all the photos on TV now is only where she is within the black people? They are trying to make her a person that has a love for the blacks, but it was unfortunate what she said. But unfortunately, the bottom line is they don't love us.
Sorry, Makatela, I'm going to have to cut you there, but thank you so much for calling. And thank you to all our callers this morning for calling and giving us your contributions and your comments regarding this matter on the Twitter.